What is going on, everybody? My name is Keenan Costain, and welcome back to another episode of Hornets Recaps. And on today's episode, we'll be discussing the Hornets trading away Miles Bridges for Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So, breaking news coming from the Charlotte Hornets on Sunday, June 28th, 2026. The Hornets traded veteran forward Miles Bridges, a 2029 first round pick, and a 2027 second round pick to the Phoenix Suns in exchange for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and an unprotected 2033 first round pick. Now, with the news with LaMelo Ball, you would think that this offseason is not over by any stretch of an imagination right after the LaMelo Ball news broke on Thursday, June 25th. And it's been rumored for the past 2 or 3 seasons now that Miles Bridges, the longest tenure Hornet, is on the market. And as of June 28th, 2026, on Sunday, and yes, I'm 2 days late on making this video, he has been traded away with a 2029 first round pick and a 2027 second round pick to the Phoenix Suns for Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, and a 2033 first round pick unprotected. So, what are my thoughts on this? I think it was expected for him, that being Miles Bridges, to get traded, but taking a look at this news that broke on Sunday, it was not the news I was hoping. I really thought the Hornets were going to go bigger in a trade, like getting a superstar in return, kind of like with LaMelo. And it seems to me that that's not the case here. With Grayson Allen being essentially part of this team now, as of this recording, it's an interesting pickup. We all know the history of Grayson Allen. Duke Blue Devil, went to college there, Duke University. A feisty, aggressive, and somewhat dirty player. Spent a lot of controversy over the years throughout the NBA. And I like this move with Grayson Allen, but only because the Hornets need more shooting. And looking at this depth chart, we have Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Kobe White, Brandon Miller, Con Campbell, Musa Diabate, and Nas Reed. I just named probably the main 6 or 7 guys that are probably going to get minutes, along with our rookies, which I'll get to more here in a second. That's going to be possibly a part of this team, but we don't know that because the Hornets, in my opinion, are not done making moves. It's June 30th, 2026, 4:29 p.m. The free agent market has not started yet, even though there's being moves around the NBA as we speak, with Kawhi Leonard going back to Toronto, as recently reported about 45 minutes ago. LeBron James not coming back to LA. Now, if you're the Hornets, what do you do? Do you keep the current roster that you have, or do you blow it, or do you keep making moves? And let's take a look at the depth chart and the rookies that the Hornets got in this video. So taking a look at this chart of the main, I guess you could say, main 5 starters, 10 /5 main bench players. You have Kobe White at the 1, Brandon Miller at the 2, Colin Campbell at the 3. I would put Moussa Diabate at the 4, and Nas Reed at the 5. And then you have Christian Anderson Jr., Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Grant Williams, and Heinz Steinbach. So, with these rookies, Heinz Steinbach and Chris Anderson Jr., or Christian Anderson Jr., I think the Heinz Steinbach move makes sense. And this was before the LaMelo Ball trade. With Chris Anderson Jr., I didn't expect him to be part of this roster. I didn't expect him, to be a guard that we need, and it turns out to be the case right now. And as of right now, the Hornets have only done one thing since that LaMelo Ball trade. They have exercised Pat Connaughton's contract, which is a 1-year, $3.8 million contract. I think this is a good move for veteran leadership. And let's see what happens with that. And sure, the Hornets have, looking at this chart, looking at this depth chart, the Hornets rather have experience again. They have the veterans. They have experience, I guess you could say leadership from Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen, because they've been in the league for a little while now, and Grant Williams is still on the team. So this bench is interesting to me. But going back to the rookies here, and Christian Anderson Jr. and Heinz Steinbach, it's going to be interesting how they pair up now with Miles and LaMelo out of the picture. They definitely need more help at the point guard position to be more specific, and I believe the Hornets need more pieces at the big man position. So with that being said, with this projected roster, this 15-man roster, if you will, in my opinion, if you go in to this upcoming season with this roster, I think it's going to be a lot worse, or just a little bit worse. I wouldn't say a lot worse. I would say a little bit worse than what the Hornets had last year. Because I think the bench needs some help. And I just think we need one more piece. Now, like I mentioned before in my last video, Jaylen Brown could be a potential target. That's been back and forth. There's one day saying that the Hornets are finalizing a deal. And there's one day that Jaylen Brown is headed elsewhere. Now, thinking about that, Jaylen Brown might fit with Portland, because Portland definitely needs to move some pieces around due to the trade with Ja Morant as well over the last 24 hours. And it's interesting because I think we have the most interesting bench right now due to the fact, that this roster is still pretty young, but the bench I am concerned about the most when it comes to the experience. T. Salon didn't pan out the way he did. He just basically stayed in Greensboro. And Trey Mann didn't have his best season as a Hornet. Sion James played all 82 games. Liam McNeely was in and out being in the G League with the Greensboro Swarm, and Ryan Kalbrunner, getting the minutes that he needs. And yeah, I just looking at this roster, it's just like you're gonna expect a lot of possible, you know, experience or points rather coming from the starting unit, in my opinion. Now, if I had to put a number down of how many wins this team would get, it would probably be 10 less wins than it was last year. So 35, 36 wins. With that said, I just don't see it. What are your thoughts down below? Let me know what you think, what the Hornets are going to do. And we'll get to more of the Miles Bridges news coming up here in a second. Now, the Miles Bridges being moved to Phoenix is a interesting one to say the least. Sure, it was expected, like I said in the beginning of this video, but it's going to help the experience, even though as an organization, the Hornets have not made the playoffs in over 10 years now. The Miles Bridges LaMelo Ball era is over. They had some good moments, bad moments, and some fantastic moments throughout their time together. You know, with LaMelo, off-court issues, Miles Bridges, off-court issues. But on the court, they seemed to be a good match. But it seemed like the Hornets decided to move on from that, and I'm okay with that. I really am. But with this trade, I am not okay with. You have $40 million in cap space. 50 million is a $50 million in cap space. $40 million in trade exemption. And what does the Hornets do, in my opinion? Well, Jaylen Brown is still on the table. We don't know anything. We don't know any other updates besides him possibly being headed to Portland. We don't know any news at this time about Jaylen Brown being traded away at 4:42 Eastern Standard Time. I think it's still a possibility, but it's going to be really, really difficult to get him because what do you do with this current roster you have? Because, I mean, there's no way that you hang on to Brandon Miller and Jaylen Brown on the same team. There's no way. You would have to trade them away. Unless if there's a way you can get rid of a guy like, I'm going to take a guess here, Trey Mann, Dijon Salon, and then Royce O'Neal gets cut. And you trade away some of your assets to whatever team to Boston. That would be the draft picks that Charlotte acquired, and I bet the Hornets are looking at that still. They're trying. That's why we haven't heard much over the last 24, 36 hours. I still want that superstar to come, but it's going to be very unlikely. And with this team right now, like I mentioned before, with the depth pieces that we have, Kobe White, Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, Musi Diabate, Naz Reid, Christian Anderson Jr., Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Grant Williams, Heinz Steinbach. Then you got Pat Connaughton, Ryan Colkiner, T. Johnson Long, Liam McNeely, Sneon James, and Trey Mann. You know, it's interesting. Do the Hornets make a move during this offseason, during free agency, which is going to start in technically 1 hour till now? By the time this video is up, it's going to be 5:30, 5:45 by the time this video is up. And we'll see. But even though that the trade, or the free agency signings last until July 6th, a lot can still happen. We've seen it last year with Spencer Dinwiddie coming here, Colin Sexton coming here in late June as well. Just to name a few that, possibly played into plans. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. And I'm very intrigued if the Hornets do something or they don't. I hope they pull something out. I hope they get a superstar, but I don't think a superstar is in the cards right now, despite all the money and assets that the Hornets have. And I'm gonna accept facts that a superstar right now is not going to be part of this team come basketball season in October, November. So that'll do it for another episode of Hornets Recaps. Again, my name is Keenan Costain, and if you like what you see, feel free to give it a like. Subscribe down below for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about what the Hornets should do in the offseason. And if there's any news that break out, I will get to it as fast as I can in video form. And let's see what happens. We already seen moves already being made, and I bet you there's going to be some things finalized later on this week. And until next time, have a good one, folks. See ya. Bye.